Today we'll be learning about how we can use OpenAI's new chat completions with GPT 3.5 Turbo. Let's start with a demo. This demo actually shows how we can remove earlier messages when our token count reaches a certain level. I'm just going to say 1. As you can see, we are counting the tokens, and this is our messages so far. As I keep typing, let's say 2, and then 3, and then 4, at some point, as you see, the earlier messages is being removed. Now we are down to the 3 and 4. So let's begin and see how we can implement something like this. There are only 2 requirements for this since we are using vanilla OpenAI API calls, pip install OpenAI and pip install tick token. Tick token is to be able to count the tokens. Then we are doing our necessary imports, OpenAI tick token and OS. Then we are defining our OpenAI API key. Here we have a sample response object that returns from OpenAI's API. This is for reference only. Then we are setting the encoding for tick token. The syntax is like this. We are using the GPT 3.5 Turbo encoding for this purpose. We are setting max tokens to be 20. This is what we are going to set our max tokens response as. I've just set this very low so we can see the earlier message removal in action. Then we are defining our message that we're going to be sending to OpenAI's API. The first message is the system message, and this is the content of it. You are a helpful assistant. Feel free to change this any way you like. I just want to mention that in this link I'll put in the description, OpenAI explains that the chat GPT 3.5 Turbo doesn't stay so true to the system message. So they actually recommend if you have something important that you want to prime the model with, they recommend to put it in the user section. And let's just take a quick look at how these messages work. As you can see, there's like 3 different roles. One is the system role. Here is the general context, and then the user asks a question, assistant returns an answer, and then it goes on like that. You can accumulate these messages if you want to keep the context. You don't have to do this, but we will be doing this. But when you're accumulating the messages, then at some point you're going to reach the token limit of the GPT 3.5 Turbo, which is 4,096 tokens. That's why we're going to implement the tick token count to remove earlier messages. After we set our original message, then we run a loop to get the user input and send it to OpenAI continuously while true loop is necessary. It's just the way I thought to continuously be able to ask questions. Then we get the user input by using the Python input functionality. Then we are appending to this original message the role as the user and the content as the user input, like this. Then we are creating our completion with using the GPT 3.5 Turbo. Max tokens is set to max tokens and messages is set to messages, which is the original message with the user input appended at the end of it. Then once we receive the completion, then we append to the end of the messages, role as being the assistant and content being the completion, which is returned from OpenAI choices, 0th element, and the message as being the content. As you can see, this is what we're wanting to add to the end of the message. I was able to figure this out because of the response object right here. Then we are printing the response, which is returned to us from OpenAI. Then we are printing the total tokens used from the completion object, .usage, total tokens. As you see, usage is returned to us with the completion object. So what we're concerned with is the total tokens, including the earlier messages, plus the response, which was just returned. And then we do a quick check to make sure that our completion just usage tokens over a certain token amount. Here in this case, I just set it to 100 for a quick demonstration. Then we set tokens removed to 0, and then we say while tokens removed is less than max tokens, because max tokens is what we are allowing OpenAI to return. Then we want to remove that many tokens from our messages. So then we say tokens removed plus equals length of the encoding.encode messages, the second element, and the content of it. To get the encoding count, you use the tick tokens encoding.encode and then count the length of it, of that list. We are using the first index because the 0th index is the system message. We don't want to remove that. So after that, we are removing the messages one by one from the very beginning, except the system message, until the tokens removed is more than the max tokens. And after that, we just print for our information tokens and message after token removal. This is the sum of all the length of the contents which we have removed from messages from the beginning. And then we print the messages so far. Okay, let's run this again. So when we run this, we are prompted to put in a question. Right here, I'm just going to say hi there. And now we see that our total tokens uses 31 tokens and messages after token removal 17. And we have so far the entire messages. Yeah, we haven't removed any tokens so far. I'm just going to say what is 2 plus 2. Here's our token count. And we still have the entirety of the messages. Let's just say what is 3 plus 3 because we haven't reached the 100 limit yet. We still have our original message, but we're getting close. Let's say what is 4 plus 4. And as you see, our original message hi there has been removed from the beginning of the messages list. So this is pretty cool. Feel free to adapt this to any way you like to your use case. I'll put this code into my Patreon for my Patreon supporters, but feel free to copy it from the YouTube video as well. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this useful.